Hello, welcome back. My name is Victor Vogel, and I'd like to welcome you to another in the series of my videos on organizational effectiveness. So, organizational effectiveness has many facets to it that require more observation than looking at the numbers on a profit and loss statement or a performance review. Understanding behaviors that are needed to help an organization achieve the many goals they are held accountable for achieving is critical. It is critical to observe the day to day behaviors of the many people in the organization who, when combined, equal its success. What a lot of companies overlook are many of the goals they must meet that they did not set for the organization, like trade laws and safety guidelines established by the government, labor laws, wage and hour laws, and the opinion of the public, which consist of the community they work in. Also, their vendors, suppliers, and others who may in fact be global stakeholders in the company's success. Keep in mind, behaviors range from micro, like an employee in a restaurant interacting with a customer, to the behaviors necessary to ensure the global supply chain provides safe and fresh food for products to the organization and therefore to the customer. Of course, to make this work requires some traditional transformational change work, organizational development, process analysis, and change management. But enough about the need for behavior association. Let's discuss what behavior association is and talk in real and basic terms about how to use it. And we'll do this in a micro way to help us understand the behavioral association concept. What I term behavior association, it's not a psychological term. It has its roots in behavior analysis, though, and there is a definition for it according to the Association of Behavioral Analysis International. Behavioral analysts study how biological, pharmacological, and experiential factors influence the behavior of humans and non human animals. Recognizing the behavior as something that individuals do, behavior analysts place special emphasis on studying factors that reliably influence the behavior of individuals, an emphasis that works well when the goal is to acquire adaptive behavior or change problem behavior. I'll put this link to this article that I just quoted from in the description so you can go back and look up and get a real good understanding of this. You can see how the observation of behaviors and what affects them might apply to the business world. For example, you can draw from this definition of how a physical environment, like a cramped workspace and outdated or unsafe equipment, temperature, and lighting might impact a worker's behavior. This was studied back in 1920s and 30s in manufacturing. They found these do make a difference and how well employees perform. But you can also see how biological factor like another human being, like a boss or a supervisor, might also have an impact on the effectiveness of a worker. There are too many potential influencers of behavior to cover them all here. But for context, we can select one, say leadership, to see how what I term behavior association can help an organization identify behaviors that might lead to ineffective or effective behavior and cause the organization to do something about those to improve and make sure they're corrected if they need to be. So, watching behaviors of individuals as compared to ideal behaviors that you have established for the desired behaviors to have for job performance can identify poor behavior and correct it, thus eliminating any surprises at any annual review, ensuring a much higher chance of meeting goals and objectives. So let's examine how this might work, starting with a vision, something we'd like to be, a desired effect, and working our way down to the employee activity. To keep this simple, we'll use the position of a bartender. I spent some time later talking to the owner of the restaurant we frequented. When it first opened, they had a vision of providing unique ambiance combined with quality food and good drinks. They developed operating standards and objectives and policies to ensure quality food, drinks, and good service. So, using this as an example, we would have a clear sense of what the expected standards and objectives were from the owner's vision of providing a good ambiance, quality food, and providing good service for the customer. When I asked them to describe how they would know if ambiance was accepted, the food was enjoyed, and customers were pleased with the service, they indicated when customer counts increased, revenue increased, customer service feedback cards reflected a satisfied customer. Now, this isn't unusual. It's what most people are taught in business schools and on the job. These are excellent objectives, and they were realistic, but they wouldn't know for sure how well they were doing until the time had passed and they were able to collect and analyze the numbers. This has to be done, but if things aren't going right, you could wake up to a surprise. And what a surprise that would be. People may smile and say they had a good time as they left, but never return. Most people don't enjoy or feel the need, for that matter, to provide negative feedback. They view giving negative feedback as uncomfortable. So they're liable to just check everything great and still not be comfortable with it. So you don't know you're getting accurate data. They just won't come back. And even worse, they'll share with others their negative experience. So let's back up and force our restaurant owners to take a different path, one that will promote the restaurant's effectiveness in providing great ambience to the customer and good quality food and excellent service. This is exactly what they want to have happen. Now, when I was consulting, I would bring in all the bartenders, their management, the owners. And remember, we're focusing just on the service aspect of the job. And I'd ask them to forget titles and focus on what customers would view as good service from the bartender. Now, just up front, this is kind of a trick question. You'll see that why that works in just a minute. We then would begin brainstorming everything they could think of that they thought would the customer would consider good service. When I felt they were having a little bit of trouble or hard time coming up with examples, I'd stop the exercise and then we would just record it and process it and take a look at everything they said they thought would constitute good service. Well, when they got done processing, what they found was a wide variety of experiences because customers differ on what they feel is good service based on their needs as a customer. When they got done doing all of that, I looked at the wall and simply said, exactly. See, if you focused, let's say, on the speed, you may not be providing good service to someone whose interaction required them to have a dialogue with them. Sort of say, a gal that's looking for the bartender psychologist. You'd miss out on that person's need if you just focused on service or speed of service. So the behavior a leader would look for in a bartender may not be providing quick service, but would be the ability to read the customer's needs. It requires a bartender to relate to customers, know how to ask open-ended questions that can draw out what the customer's needs are. The owner would be watching the bartender's ability to clearly identify a customer's needs and watch a customer's responses to see if the bartenders correctly assist the customer and satisfy their needs. This is using behavioral association. And that's why the question was a trick question in the beginning. It was to try to get them through brainstorming to open up to a different approach to evaluating the business, and particularly the different approach to evaluating bartender service. It's about defining the correct behaviors to deliver good service to all customers, or at least to strive to deliver the best service to everyone. Now imagine taking the time to do this for all the functions for a business. It would enhance your potential for exceeding your expectations and give the leadership and owners of the restaurant real-time information to either reinforce good behaviors or change unacceptable behaviors on an ongoing basis, shift by shift, day by day. The owner, their leadership, and employees will be more comfortable going into that quarterly or annual evaluation process, knowing it's mostly a validation exercise for their excellence. Now, since we involved everyone in defining the bartender's behaviors that we reviewed, it makes sense on an ongoing basis to meet with them and assess those behaviors on a regular basis and how they're doing. Basically, what this does is it turns the aggravating performance appraisal process that everybody hates doing into a synergistic team problem solving process where all the stakeholders benefit. This would also allow you to develop a better incentive program that bartenders would benefit from and want to use to improve. There are more benefits from an organizational effectiveness intervention to include pride, retention, excitement, self-satisfaction, and motivation and commitment, just to name a few. Now, in this brief few minutes, I hope we've explained why you should include organizational effectiveness in your strategy planning, performance models, and training systems. It can make the difference between an organization operating effectively in real time versus a problem. I'll mention at the end of each video that you should subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the notification bell to establish notifications for each video I publish. And if you're a thought leader in this field and want some live streaming time to review how you approach the topic of organizational effectiveness or any associated part of the process I'm covering, my contact information will be in the description of each video. We can get together and do a side program, kind of highlight what you're doing. Everybody learns from something like that. Until next time, go out and play with behavioral association. Remember, it isn't psychology. It's just observing basic human behavior. You do it anyway, every day in some way or the other. Till the next time, I'm Victor Vogel. Have a great week.